I had a thought. One of the fun things is because there's always a little bit of vibing before because it takes a minute for once you go live. Oh wow, people are joining already. Holy crap! Hi. Okay, well I take back what I just was saying, which is we have to kill some time. But I should create like a little intro-y thing that we can run at the beginning of it. But
Yeah.
So awesome. It's time for yet another Pulumi Vision. We've been doing a lot of Pulumi Vision this week, but lots of different things, trying lots of different stuff. I'm joined today by my colleague and teammate and longtime pal, Christian, who wrote a super awesome blog post about deploying the MERN-stack using Pulumi. And I only now know what the MERN-stack is, and I think I know. Wait, I want to see if I can guess. If I can remember. So it's Mongo.
Yes.
Something else. It's not Elastic, right? Is it?
No.
What's the E stand for?
Express.
Oh, Express. That's it.
Yeah.
And then React and Node, right?
Okay. Node, yeah.
Okay, got it. So cool. Yeah, it's So what I wanted to do, this was a really well-received blog post. Good job, Christian.
Thanks.
Love it. So we're gonna see if I can mess it up.
There are a few places, but this one's actually pretty. This one should be pretty straightforward, I think. But yeah, there's always a possibility, right? Well,
right. So what's kind of cool is I thought we kind of go through this and if we're thinking about I'm going through, and by the way, I'll pop in if you're looking for it. This is that link will take you to the blog post that we're working through there. Okay, for those of you who, and I'll give you even a little.
Oh, there it is.
Direct link, yeah. If you want to clicky on that. And there's a lot more than just sort of the tech piece of this that we're going to do. But so a couple things. So actually, we'll kind of take a look first if we look at the blog post. So just sort of looking. So this is the MERN, right? So we have our Mongo, Node, and Express. What is Express? I am not a JavaScript developer. And short of, now that said, I've been writing JavaScript since it existed. But that was also one of the last times I wrote JavaScript is when it started to exist. So
yeah. Well, Express is just like it's a web framework. It's basically it's I haven't used it a ton, but it's a very popular choice for setting up REST APIs on Node.js. Makes it really easy to set up routes and set up handlers for those routes and that sort of thing. It's just a nice, lightweight, fast choice for setting up REST APIs, which is what we're using it for here.
Cool. So so what we want to do here is we built this, and by we I mean Christian. This app, and in this case, using this DigitalOcean's app platform. So this is okay. So it's like Heroku. Everything is like Heroku. Right, it goes back to James Governor's tweet about everything we create is just over and over again trying to recreate Heroku, and there's a reason for that because Heroku was great. So this is the theory of app platform on DO is basically what? So just that we can we can Heroku it, right?
Yeah.
Let's just
the nice thing about this was my actually first time I used app platform. I've used DigitalOcean for other things before, like setting up virtual machines and so on. And that's all been, great, but I didn't even realize this app platform existed. But what's really nice about this is that it gives you these high level abstractions to play with. Like you can create an app, and an app has a couple of pieces that you can configure. You can set up a front end as a static website, which is like popular choice for, delivering websites today. Static website, a bunch of HTML files, a service, which is basically a containerized web application, and then a database. And so if you want to kind of have a front end and a back end, say a REST API and a database, which is a very common thing to want to do when you're building web application, that is basically web application, DigitalOcean gives you those three things, and you just sort of configure each of those three things, and magically out pops a URL. They're all configured to talk to one another, and it's just a really pleasant experience if what you're trying to do is set up a like a MERN app, or a 3-tiered web app that is, container friendly and so on. It's just super easy to use.
Yeah, and I feel like, is it similar to like Azure container apps? Maybe you don't know. I feel like everyone's trying to do something like this too, right? Like, because we want to be able to accelerate our ability to rapidly get something deployed. Okay, so if you're now again, this is not a workshop, so I'm not going to go so slow that if you're watching, you can catch up. I mean, you can try, but also you can go do this yourself. But a couple things. So first of all, very nicely, Christian made this template repo. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get this to myself, and we will just call this MERN the Fern. I don't know. I feel like I just need to have some kind of crazy name. All right, cool.
Yeah. So this repo has.
Tell me about like what's it? This has nothing to do with what we're doing, but so what's a templated repo do? Is it just copy the repo, but it doesn't fork it?
Yeah, that's a good. I guess I don't know what is the difference between forking it and a template repo. I guess template
there's no
repo,
upstream, right?
Yeah, you don't get the upstream. Beyond that, though, I don't know how I would summarize the difference, because you're still going to be I guess there's no upstream, and so you're not PR.
I can't submit a PR back to you. There's no There's no connection to your repo other than it tells me where it came from.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, so we did that. That was super duper exciting. I already have Pulumi and Node installed. Chris and I were talking before, just for purposes of this, I am already signed into DigitalOcean. I already have my personal access token. And actually, if you want to see something cool, because at least I think it's cool, because I have it as an environment variable, and I'm going to show you how I have that stored in my shell config. And you're going to think, wait, Maddie, you're going to show me something secret, but I'm not. And here's why. Like, check this out, right? So this also, by the way, for people that watch Pulumi Vision, know that it is not uncommon for me to accidentally give away, like I gave Allie Diamond, like basically let her pop a shell on my laptop last week on accident. But this is just this is unrelated to what we're trying to do, but you might find this cool.
That was awesome.
So what's that?
That was awesome, by the way.
Yeah, right.
It was a beautiful moment.
So check this out, right? So you can do this thing where, so my secret environment variables are actually stored in the Mac OS keychain. And so you see how this works here, that's export. So when the shell initializes, it slurps them in from the keychain and puts them in there. So that way I can totally check this config into my .files repo and everything like that. But the important thing to see is, look there, we do have, so the DigitalOcean token environment variable has been set. Great. So we have that. And if at some point anybody wants to know how this works, you can, I think I've got, whatever. Basically, that keychain environment variable shell script that's in my home directory is the thing that matters for that. But it's really helpful because you do store a lot of sensitive stuff in there.
Yeah.
So cool. Anyway, but that was neither here nor there, other than to say, like, cool, we've got our DO stuff set up.
Yeah, that's the one token that you need to configure Pulumi to run with DigitalOcean, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if we look back at what else we did, that, and then it says, okay, we need to grant DigitalOcean access to that repo. So we're going to go to the apps page, which is this one here. And we're going to say create app. Okay.
Yeah, we're just going to basically kind of step through this a little bit to give permissions to DigitalOcean to receive calls from GitHub for you.
Let's just
find the one that you, what is it, Fern? Yeah,
MERN the Fern.
There you go.
Cool.
And this sends you back, I think. And
okay.
Okay, I think.
Now,
yeah, so I think if you pick this, then it will.
Oh, that was just okay.
Yeah.
The first one was just what
So I think
permissions I gave it. Now I get to use those permissions.
Right. So like if you weren't using
Oh.
Pulumi, you would go through and you wanted to create an app, you could through the DigitalOcean UI completely just go through these steps to.
I don't need to do this.
Don't need to do this. No, yeah.
Oh, okay,
You just
got it.
took that first step in order to kind of install
DigitalOcean.
the GitHub app. Yeah.
Got it. Oh, that was just to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And then also because I would love to develop this application locally, and I don't have nearly enough stuff installed on my laptop. I did install. Well, install and configure. I don't know that I configured it. I installed it. We'll see what happens when we get to
yeah, that's a good point. I don't know if I configured it too much either. I think I just took
all
the defaults. Yeah.
I did a brew install and away we go, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to say, okay, we've cloned our template. Oh, I need to clone that down. I'm going to go ahead and clone. I know you can't see it, but I'm talking, was it MERN? MERN. This is why you don't give things. Oh my God. Well, no. So what I'm laughing, I'm still, even to this day, stuck on the GH command line. Like you used to.
Oh yeah.
Now it's like Git is kind of alias through GH for me, so I still have the muscle memory of typing GH clone when I want to just name it, but it is So anyway, MERN the fern. Okay, so I'm cloning that down. Okay, I am now gonna swap back over to my editor instead of just showing this. So you can follow along if you want. But okay, so if we sort of take a look, this is our repo. I know this part is small here, but there we can kind of see all the things that got created in there, right?
Yeah.
So, so this front end folder, this is the React application.
Right. Yeah.
It says this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a little React app. It's like a grocery list or like a to-do list, basically. Yeah, so just a super simple React app. Okay.
And then I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that backend is the backend part of the application.
Correct. That's the Express stuff. So in those,
right,
like in routes.ts and so on, you'll see like, CRUD routes and things for posting new to-dos and marking them done and all of that. If you want to look at that, yeah.
Yeah. Let me. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So that's our pretty straightforward backend app, and then okay. So it says that this supports. There's 3 properties which are environment variables. So we set the backend service port, the backend route prefix, and the database URL. Yep. And I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that we're going to show off how we configure that with Pulumi.
Yeah. So when you run this locally, of course, you just run a make command or whatever npm command and run it locally. But yes, when we'll show how to configure that with Pulumi when we step through building the Pulumi program.
So, all right. So it says, for example, it says you don't have to do this, but if you'd like to, here's how. So, we of course would like to. So let's give it a chance. So it says we do our npm install.
Yeah, just right from the root there. Too long. And this will install this will run the npm install for the React app and then also for the Express app.
Got it. And then if we do an npm start, missing script start.
Did I look in the which one is that? Did I miss that somehow?
Make sure I'm in the right place. Yep, I'm in the root. That'll be in the package JSON,
yeah,
right?
Oh,
is it npm dev?
My bad. Yep. That's typo. Yeah, that should be npm run dev. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. There you go. Okay. Oh, it doesn't have. Oh, does Vite have to be installed globally?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because this is now saying Vite command not found. Because that should be in the Oh wait, where is Vite's in the back end?
It's in the front end actually. It's the front end.
Okay, so right. So there's the package. Like yeah, there's Vite. So npm install will recursively go through these, or do I have to run it on each?
If you go ahead and try running it in both. I was trying to
directory?
have it install both, but I may have goofed that up somehow.
You didn't know that by coming on the stream with me today that we were gonna.
This is how it always works. Everything gets
Troubleshooting your yeah. Okay, so now if we do npm run dev. Okay. So we're okay. So we have it said it's listening on. So if we go to localhost 3000, I will switch over once I see that it worked. Okay, so cool. So sorry that this is like how we have to do this because StreamYard is StreamYard. It's not StreamYard, sorry, Restream. Okay, so we have so this is our app. Cool. The Pulumi push.
Yeah, so try adding something, see if everything's wired up right there.
Add some Diet Coke.
Did you get any errors in the console again?
Nothing in the console. Oh, connection refused. So Mongo must not be running.
Oh, did you run like the MongoDB?
I probably didn't do whatever I'm supposed to do after I install.
Yeah, there's like a Mongo command to start it, I think.
To set the server, the brew probably doesn't
brew,
do it.
Yeah, it's a brew command actually that
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, okay, let's see. That was the brew install. There you go. Brew service start.
That's it, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so that's running. Where did our grocery list go? We'll go ahead and restart that cat. Okay, let's try to add Diet Coke again. There we go. That worked.
Cool.
Strangely enough, the database doesn't work if you don't start it. Who knew?
Yeah.
And then back to, if we go back and take a look at, and then I think this was also where you were saying if we had Compass, no, not beyond compare, Compass. God. MongoDB Compass, okay. This is the first time I'm opening Compass, so bear with me for a second. Mac OS. If this doesn't come up in just a minute,
this is good. This is good. I got taking little notes, got little typos to.
Yeah, I was going to say we can.
Yeah.
All right. So then, if we, yeah, no, I don't care about any of this. Go away. Yeah. Sure. Whatever. Okay. So if we. Oops. All right, so this was on localhost, right? So it's just 127.0.0.1.27.017, right? Or wait.
Is there a connection string?
No, once that, yeah, once.
That's a good question. I don't know what that ought to be.
What like this? Oh, here we go. Oh, MongoDB.
Yeah. Oh, it might be in your terminal. Did you see it in your terminal? Was it like emitted when you started the service or anything?
Oh, label homebrew mxl.
No.
Just that successfully started MongoDB-community. I'm just looking for the example it gives. It says example MongoDB plus serve / fill in connection fields individually there. That sounds better. Host name, localhost, server authentication, none. Yep, there. That's okay. So now we'll watch this happen as I go to.
Oh, there's your grocery list. Yeah, your grocery list. Collection there. So, with your one Diet Coke in it, probably. There you go.
Yep.
That looks great. Yay, data.
And then if we add one, we should see it. Oh, is there a refresh? Yeah. Oh, wait, no. Refresh. There it is. Okay.
Cool.
So, ta-da.
Yay.
That it actually worked. Okay, so at least we know that our application is all fully functional at this point.
Yep.
So that's good. Okay. So I'm going to go back to this as we sort of step through.
Yeah. So the thing here is like, this is the flow you normally have. You're working on a web app, you make some changes, you save your changes. Now what do I do? If you were like in the Heroku world, right, you would be like git push Heroku master or whatever, you know what I mean? And I'm off and running, but like, it's not that easy to make that happen on a cloud, especially as a developer. If the cloud you're using is like an AWS or an Azure, where there are lots of powerful pieces, but it's kind of complicated and hard to wire them together, getting that workflow to work is kind of pretty painful. And a tough hill to climb especially if you're new to this stuff. But that's the workflow that we want to accomplish. We want to have that workflow where we iterate on the app, we push our changes to Git repo, and things work. And so that's what we're working toward here, is being able to push those changes back to your templated or cloned repo and have them flow through to DigitalOcean and built and deployed by DigitalOcean automatically.
And so what we're going to do, okay, cool. So what we're doing here, just one of the things to think about, because there's a couple different patterns we can do with our infrastructure code that we do with Pulumi, right? So as if you're new to this or wondering, so one of the ways is your infra code can live as its own thing. And sometimes you'll do that with things, especially like shared infrastructure and stuff. But in this case, we're going to have the infra code, our Pulumi program that configures the things and does the deployments, going to live in the same repository, the same place as our app code, so it can all be together. So we have our own responsibility for it, doing our own thing.
Yeah.
So first thing we're going to do is we are going to, and again, because it's going to be, it's not at the root of a repository, we're going to create a new directory called infra, which, go figure, because that's where our infra code is going to go. And then we're going to go ahead and create ourselves a new DigitalOcean. Oops. Oh my God. There you go. TypeScript. So again, if you're watching this kind of new, so what's happening here is we're generating the scaffolding of our Pulumi program, and we're giving it kind of a start. We're saying, okay, there's a couple things we know. There's some components that'll come with DigitalOcean, so we want that. And the language we're going to use is TypeScript. We could do this with Python. We could do this with Go. We could do this with .NET languages. But in this today, I'm just feeling like we're going to do some TypeScript because it feels pretty TypeScripty. Now, that said, fun fact, you might think, well, we're doing the MERN-stack, which is all Node, so we must write our Pulumi code with that. Untrue, right? So we could write it in this. Now, in this, again, theoretically, if I'm putting my infra code in the repo because I'm the developer of this application, likely the language I know is the one of the application.
Yeah.
So that's we sort of decided that. So cool. So we're going to let this kind of chug away. We're going to call it, well, I don't think I want to call it infra because that's going to, oh, I just realized something funny. I think I never fixed. I don't think it'll matter, but I just want to check.
Oh,
on my service account. It shouldn't matter. I'm just gonna have to remember if we want to go show Pulumi in the web console who I am.
Yeah,
it's totally fine.
Yeah.
So actually, it's even less of a problem because it's an account that I blow away all the time. So we could call it infra, but what would you think? I don't know that I would just want it because it's really probably
like, I think I called it grocery list when I was doing this myself. Or that is fine. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is it's going to be inside of my whole Pulumi world, and infra doesn't really tell me very much about it.
Yeah.
That's the first time ever in doing a demo that I've actually typed anything other than the default for that. And we'll go ahead and create our dev stack, which is the default. And again, a stack is kind of an instance of your, you can think about it, oftentimes relates to an environment, doesn't have to, but we'll kind of think about it that way. Okay, so we've got our we've got our new Pulumi stack was created, great. And even if we sort of poke around and we take a look inside our infra directory, there it is. We can see it created all these files, which is, nothing that's super exciting yet, but we can see the package JSON already took the packages we're going to need. But we have to do a little bit of configuration. So one of the things is, if we'd had that access token, you need to put it in as an environment variable. We have already done that. And no, I'm not going to echo that environment variable to prove it to you, because for all of my security things, that would actually show it to you. And I, try to only do one massive security leak on the live stream per month. So tune in after tomorrow. So the other thing is we need to tell DO, just like we said. So this is now the beginnings of what we would have walked through in that wizard, right? Where we tell it what repository and stuff. So, we could write this into our program. We could just hard code it, but hard coding is bad. So we can set configuration, and also maybe on the stack it's different for some reason, or actually, the branch might be different, right? Like,
yeah.
So anyway, so I'm going to run Pulumi config, and then we're going to say set, and then the repo we're going to set to Matt Stratton /MERN the Fern, right?
Your colon.
Okay.
I don't know if that colon got in the way there.
Let's take a look. Yeah, but we can fix that.
Yes. There you go.
That's what happened. See, it created this dev.yaml. So I could also have done it this way. Like, I could run that command, or even if we want to be fun, just to prove our point, we could say branch. And nope, sorry, I did that totally wrong, didn't I?
There you go. That's okay too. Yeah.
There we go. I was going to be all fancy, and the branch is main.
Cool. That is
right.
Yep.
Okay. So that did the same thing as running the command. There's two different, right?
Yeah.
So
there's
more than one way to do
one thing to explain here that's a little bit different than we normally do things in Pulumi. So oftentimes when you're building an app, say that you want to run on some container service in AWS or something like that.
Oh, is this going to matter? I just realized I screwed this up. I can just drag MERN and FRIT into there. Yep.
What happened?
There we go. I created it in the wrong place.
Oh, okay.
Now it's.
It should just be alongside app and.
No, it should be, and then that's what I think we're fine now. Just go ahead and you talk while I.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is, like, oftentimes when you're building like a web app and you want to run it in a cloud, like it's a Node app or something like that, or an Express app, you'll need to, part of the process of like writing the Pulumi program and then deploying your app into the cloud is like involves packaging the application in some way. So you run like a build step and you put that into a Docker image or something like that, and then you have to say where to deploy that Docker image. In other words, you're taking, like, the process of deploying with Pulumi involves building the app, packaging the app, and then telling Pulumi like where you want to put the container images for that app or something. This is a little bit different. And in this case, we're using Pulumi to describe the application configuration we want DigitalOcean to use. And DigitalOcean is going to go and fetch our source code from GitHub, which is why you set the repo and the branch the way that you did, and build those things and deploy them for us. So we're not actually like building any containers, defining any containers or container repositories with the Pulumi program here. Instead, DigitalOcean will handle that for us. We're just telling DigitalOcean where to go and find our source code. So
somehow I did a thing that okay. You know what I need to do? I jacked this up real bad. Bear with me for a second. Because when I did that, it had to update the imports, which means Visual Studio popped everything in Node modules and wanted to change it. So I'm almost better off for this point for just
wipe it and start over.
Just the infra one. Yeah. We'll be good. Okay. But that's fine. We already had because what I had done is because in the interest of making the stream easier to deal with, I had everything in a more root directory. Oh my God, it's still okay. So let's see. So let's say I'm going to say close all. Okay, and then we're going to delete this. That's totally fine. Okay. I'll give us again, this is how we know we're doing it live.
It's all good, yeah.
This is how things get to be fun. Okay, so we mkdir infra, td infra, Pulumi, new DigitalOcean TypeScript.
Yep. Maybe give it a different name this time because
MERN-infra.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, and then just run your 2 configs again at your.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna cheat those this time, and that should give us what we want.
Yep.
Oh, well, except that's fine.
Awesome.
MERN I'm regretting naming that. Okay, cool. Oh, wait, let me do one thing to make this easier for everybody to see. Okay, so we can actually maybe write some Pulumi programs.
Yes.
Cool. So we've got our index.ts, which is our entry point because we're using TypeScript. If we're writing this program in Python, it'd be our main.py. It might be our main.go if it's Golang, et cetera, et cetera. And a couple things. So if we kind of take a look, right, so this is what our scaffold gave us, our template gave us, is it's the packages that we know we're going to need. We need the Pulumi package because we're writing Pulumi, and because we said this is DigitalOcean, it's already handled the npm package, the node package for DigitalOcean, and then it just sort of gives us like some boilerplate to start with, which I'm pretty sure we don't want any of this.
Right. Yeah. Just start.
It's all
fresh.
warning. So the first thing is, remember we said that we had we want to access our configuration. So we're gonna first pull in the config object, right?
Yep.
So this is a new Pulumi. This is what's going to let us actually access those config things, and we're also going to set the repo. And we're going to say config.require. And by saying require, it means that if we did not set this and we tried to run the Pulumi program, it would bail. It'd be like, no, go to hell. Now, you may have configs that may not be required because maybe they're optional and things. So it's not always going to be a config require, or you may have a default or something. This is a great example of something that would never have a default because what would it be?
Yep.
What would be deployed from it?
Get your code somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. So then we do config.require. I know what's going on there. I'm going to fix my squiggly in a second. So one of the things I think is cool, again, if you're new to Pulumi, I'm getting all this great type ahead and stuff, and it's not because I have like some Pulumi Visual Studio Code extension installed. This is just all those things are coming from either having, if it's for in this case, all of this information comes from the fact that we have the Pulumi package, and then this is because we have well, actually that's all we have. We haven't done anything with DigitalOcean yet,
right?
And then we want to say the region. So now we'll do some DigitalOceaning. So this will be DigitalOcean region, and then again, see, I've got all these things. These are all of the different methods, right, off of not methods but parameters, right? And then SFO3.
Yep, we're just going to be deploying everything into the same region here.
Okay. And then we want to go ahead and set up our managed Mongo, right? And one node is totally fine because I don't want to spend all of Joe Duffy's money.
Yeah, and one thing to note about this, when you're working in app platform, there's the concept of dev databases, which are just lighter weight, less expensive instances of databases that are not intended for production use, but just quicker to spin up and cheaper to use. But Mongo does not. They don't have a MongoDB dev database option, so you have to make it a DB cluster if you want to use Mongo.
So we have a database cluster. Kind of annoying that DigitalOcean's nickname is a reserved word in every programming language because it would have been nice to not have to type DigitalOcean over and over again,
Yeah.
but you can't do DO
That's true, yeah.
because so we say the engine is Mongo. Don't worry, this is not a typing class, so pretty soon I'm going to just start doing some copying of the code we already wrote, but I just want to kind of show a few of the things that we get. It gets up the version. Now, a couple things that might be interesting. Again, all of this is, we're sort of hard coding it, but this is all stuff that
yeah, we have,
we might want to, if the interest of our different stack environments, like you said, with this, the node count, in dev, we might really only need one, or the size, right? The same thing too. So this, we're going to do the one vCPU. We're going to do node count of 1, but in prod, for example, we might need more. So instead, engine. So for example, just like we set this config, we might make that something that changes from environment to environment.
Yep.
Rather than sort of hard coding that into there.
Exactly.
And then we'll go ahead and create our cluster. Now, this is what's kind of cool. So the ID, because it's a program, we can pass that from this constant, this object that we created over here. We can pull the ID from that. So we,
right, yeah. This is the database inside the cluster that we looked at when we saw in, what was the app you used for the database client? Compass? Yeah.
Compass?
Yeah, we used it with our grocery list database. Yeah, so that's what we're doing here with this next call.
So we've got that database created. And then this is something I'm just going to, in the interest of y'all not having to watch me type, because there's an awful lot of code here, but then we'll sort of step through what it's doing.
Good.
So I'm copying this from the blog post. But yeah, let's sort of take a look. So we're going to say, now this is the spec of app platform.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
An app is an app is defined with a spec like this, and it has different high level things that you can define. There's the static site one there that you see on line 31, and then the ways. So we're going to define the Git repo and
which these are all variables that we set with our config.
Yes.
Same thing, the region. So we don't have to keep specifying these things.
Yes. Yeah. So so with the static site there, we've got a build step. So we tell DigitalOcean how we want to build that React front end, run this command to do it from this directory of source code. So that's the first thing that we're defining, that static site. And that static site will be defined in or it'd be deployed to to DigitalOcean CDN. So it'll end up as a static in blob storage, and then they'll wire it up to the CDN just for you automatically. So that's the first bit. And then on 46 there starts the services collection. One or more services that we're going to run. In this case, we're just going to run the Express app that we looked at a bit ago. And so similarly,
which again, we tell it knows where to pull it from.
Right.
And
yep.
All of that. So deploy on push. Okay. So again, yeah. So it's saying it's basically watching the repo when it sees a new commit to that branch. It's watching, and it's basically like a hook, except not.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So, and then, so this is okay. So it says when we connect to the MongoDB, right, the service needs the database URL, which is conveniently exposed as an environment variable. So how are we getting this for free? Because that's the app spec. We're setting it here.
Yes, we're providing in the service spec. We're basically defining the environment variables that we want to be exposed to the service when it starts up, and we know we're going to need a bunch of those. We're going to need to know where the database is, and what CA cert to use to connect securely to that database, and all those things are going to be exposed to us as
because we created, this is that object we created. That's the database. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so down below there, we'll define on line 91. We tell DigitalOcean the token or the key we want to use to refer to the database. That DB
Oh.
is what kind of is the token that all of those values get hung off of. So by defining
Oh, I see
DB,
why.
yeah,
I got confused because we also, when we created the actual database in the cluster, that object's name is DB. So I thought we were referencing that, but we're not because it's inside of the spec.
right. Yeah, those values in that end.
This is not JavaScript that's happening here.
Right.
This is spec lane or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, those expressions will be evaluated when the service starts up in DigitalOcean, and magically,
there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, blah blah blah. So then we've got all of that stuff, and then I guess it says now. So the DigitalOcean, it takes the so then the last. So okay, we're this last bit that or I guess, well, I don't know if it's last bit, but
I think that spec is really that big chunk of JSON that we just defined is really the meat of the program. That's kind of where.
Wait, what did I just? Oh, the app. Okay, let me just.
Are you getting any squiggles there or anything?
Did I just do this twice?
Oh
yeah.
Oh,
I think
you may have pasted.
Oh yeah, I got confused about what I was where I was in the blog post. I just pasted the same thing in twice.
Okay.
This is what I wanted. Okay, we need to make our MongoDB not open to the whole big bad internet.
Right. This is that last little bit. Yeah. So if we didn't do this, then we would be able to access the MongoDB database from anywhere, which is cool, but not the best.
But probably less than ideal.
Less than ideal. Yeah.
And there's one last thing we're going to do, because I actually want to know the website that I created. And so this, again, it's like in the, kind of a Pulumi perspective, we're going to export, so there's imports and exports. So we can export this, will export just to the console, but also maybe I have another application, another place that needs to pull this from. And so this is going to take live URL, which is what DIO assigns for the app. And it's going to, it's going to take the URL, which is app, and it's going to shove that into a Pulumi output or export. It's going to export that as a stack output, right?
Yes.
Called live URL.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. An output of the app will be a live URL property. We're just pulling it out of that by dereferencing. Yeah.
So now we can actually run this. So if we go ahead and were to say Pulumi up.
Yep.
And again, if this is new, no, stop trying to. Oh my God, I need to stop messing with my terminal. I just installed this thing because someone was talking.
Oh, we got a compiler error. Maybe we missed something.
Cannot redeclare.
Got a name repeated or something? Is that second call still in there? That second.
Yeah, I thought I fixed that, but we can figure out.
Yeah, I think it's still in there as all your second pasted app spec.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it just needs to go. Where was the last thing we did? This. Yep. Okay. I thought I undid it, but I did not undid it. All right.
I know. Hit this all the time.
Oh my God.
Slow down.
There we go.
Beautiful. Okay.
Okay. So
now you should be good to go. Yeah. Let's see.
So what's happening here, again, it didn't actually do anything. When you run Pulumi up, first it runs a preview that says, first thing it does is that we already saw is it tells you if there's something that it can't compile, that it can't run. But it says, now if I did run, here's what would happen. And it has to create everything because as my current state is nothing, right? I don't have any of this stuff going on.
Yeah.
So it's saying if we're going to do this, we're going to create the stack called dev, right? We're going to create that database cluster. We're going to create the app and all this stuff. And if I wanted to be like, I don't trust anything because I am an old school ops person, so I don't trust anything, least of all computers. I can say, what are you going to actually do? And this will give me all the details of all the very specific things that are going to happen.
Yep.
And I think I'm looking for an example of what I wanted to illustrate here with auto naming. There should be something in here. Here it is. Okay, perfect. So remember, we said that the name, we called it cluster, but they're like, what's this wacky thing at the end here?
Yeah.
And the reason is by default, and this is going to sound like something that you're not going to like, but trust me when I tell you, you will, is Pulumi does this, whatever name you give it, unless you override it, it will append a random identifier basically, or a unique identifier of some kind. And the reason is to help you, because these are cloud resources, right? You don't want to have a collision. Now, there are times when you're not concerned about having a collision and you might not want to do that, like a user ID or something like that. And it's very easy and no problem you just basically set the name parameter on the resource that you create.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, so we'll go ahead, let's fire it up. It's gonna go ahead and run. And I am also, while we're doing that, going to go into my labs account here.
Yeah, this is okay.
So while this is thinking,
yeah,
I'm gonna show you, like, this is taking a second, but remember we sort of talked about, you and I very quickly alluded to that we can see this stuff in the Pulumi console. This is because I'm using the Pulumi state SAS to store my state. You don't have to. You can store your state, but you have to have somewhere, because Pulumi is running to say, like, is my infrastructure in the state I want it to be in? It means you have to manage that state. You can store that in lots of different ways. We call them backends. This case, I'm using the Pulumi SAS. So because I'm logged in here, we can see this project that was created. And if I kind of look at it, I can see, okay, we had the dev stack, and look, oh, there's that configuration that we set is available. And you can see that this first update, the thing that we were just seeing run in the console, we're actually seeing it running here as well. Now, nothing's really happened yet. Okay, well, there's the preview. I could even go see that preview. This looks like all that stuff. So this is pretty cool, right? So especially if I'm working in a group, and then later, like right now, you're kind of like, well, nothing's really happened in here, but I can see all that history later. But we'll let that. I feel like creating that cluster, that Mongo cluster, looks like it takes
that takes a few minutes. Yeah, I think when I've run it before, it takes maybe 3 or 4 minutes.
And then what will be interesting again, so we're starting to see there's not really, but we will eventually be able to see all the resources, that the cloud resources and things that come in here. And the graph view is especially cool, except not right now because we have one resource, which is just the stack and not connected to anything.
Yeah.
It'll let that.
Yeah, I think when so the first push of this thing to create that cluster it takes a few minutes, but thereafter updating the spec goes super quick. Yeah.
So, and if we I'm looking how to poke around, and I think I'm in the wrong place. It's entirely possible that this is not going to work the way that I wanted it to.
Oh, yeah?
Because I just realized, I think the token I have points to our team accounts, and I don't think I flipped myself over to the larger Pulumi team when I granted the access. Or that's just installing the app. That was not even, that wasn't giving a specific, that was just giving digital, that was installing the GitHub app is all that really
exactly
did, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so there was nothing about, okay.
I think.
Oh, so okay, well, while we're taking a look, if you just, again, I always like to say, I'm from Missouri, show me. So
You're gonna go look at. You're gonna look at.
look at DO.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
So there it is. There's our database cluster
Yeah.
that we started. And, it's provisioning, and, the mascots are talking to each other.
I love those little guys.
Yeah. So this, this looks like it'll take a minute. So we can.
Yep. That's it all looks like it's doing the right stuff. It's just, once that cluster is created, then it goes quick. So,
well, I don't think we need to sit and watch paint dry when that kind of goes along. But a couple things as you're going through your journey with this. Also, you should definitely, I highly recommend, again, go back, read this whole blog post, because there's a lot more into it than just the Pulumi code. Super interesting. Absolutely check that out. And, with the latest updates that will be forthcoming that we found out.
The latest fixes. Chris will fix his script.
Now, also, but if you're interested, though, also in the blog post, so we were using TypeScript, but maybe you're a Python person. There's Python example code, or not. I don't say example code. Sorry, the code. There is Python. The same stuff we did in TypeScript here is in Python as well on that blog post. So you can totally go with it. Oh, something happened.
Good thing, a green thing, a red thing. What color is the thing that happened?
It's red.
Yeah.
GitHub user not authenticated. Yeah, it's because of. I'm pretty sure I know exactly why. So here, I'll show you what I think I did.
You may have to. Here, I think I hit this myself when I was using the Pulumi account for.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I bet it's this. So if I go to, because see, I had been under MT, like my team, when I did that thing. So I think all we need to do is I go back and find that thingy where you had the link, the apps page. So here, see, now I'm in as Pulumi because my token is to Pulumi. Yep. So now if I say create apps.
Yeah, but I think you may actually need to uninstall the GitHub app from your personal org if that's where it was attached before. Because
well, let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's try it, because I'm pretty sure I hit this same thing yesterday. I was momentarily confused.
Configure. Oh, I see what you mean. It won't let me uninstall DigitalOcean. Probably
that's
right?
what I would probably do. Yeah, and
that's fine. It's only hitting me. It's not hitting like Pulumi's thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So then if we go back to here, come on. Okay, choose a source.
It should walk you through.
Install DigitalOcean.
Yep.
Select.
That's right.
That makes sense. That's what happened. Okay, should be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. Now the good thing is, like you said, we did the hard part.
The cluster is created. Yay! So
the cluster got created. Yeah. It was just the app because that's the. And I'm just gonna
get that YOLO.
So I did. What's happening? I installed this thing called Fig that's supposed to be this really helpful auto completion thing, but it's getting way aggressive on Pulumi. I've noticed. So. Also, I don't know what I'm doing with it. But that's what happens when you install. So this is also why when you should not install anything that is not standard in the environment that you are demonstrating things to people.
Yeah.
That's just not.
Cool. Let's see if that. I'm gonna take a look myself and see if that app is being provisioned here.
Well, that's a good point. We should be able to.
It didn't blow up yet, so that's a good sign.
Well, it said last deploy. Yeah, so
let's see some stuff happening. It looks like
it's in a pending phase, and I don't think it didn't even get this far.
Yeah,
because remember we only saw the Golang one, so the fact that we saw anything.
Yep.
Is promising. So it says you created a new app called Grocery List. This is where the fun begins.
Yeah.
Someone needs to talk to the folks at DigitalOcean about what fun is.
I mean, as cloud consoles go, though, it's pretty fun.
Theirs is pretty fun. DigitalOcean does have a pretty you know, it's
Yeah, what's cool about this though too is that once this deploys, you'll be able to like all the logs and everything flow right up into the DigitalOcean console. That's pretty nice too. So you can see if you get any runtime errors or issues there, and yeah, pretty nice. When I said it goes pretty fast after the cluster is created, I don't recall it taking this long. I think your CPU cycles may be starved a little bit, but you know,
on my laptop.
On your laptop, just because of videos and things, I often hit like slowdowns whenever I'm trying to do anything on the command line, and I'm also running a screen.
Yeah,
it always sort of slows down the world.
Could be.
And we are probably doing a build or something.
What's that?
There's probably a build running, like the containers are maybe building or something. I'll look at the logs myself and see that. I think there's probably just something's happening. Things are happening, but
looking at the deploy,
yeah. Watching progress bars. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm. We used to, you know, how there's the XKCD that it's like, you know, the program, you know, what they do while the code's compiling. I remember we used to say that was vagrant up, you know, because you were spinning up a via, you know, I mean, like you would do it, it was great, but especially if you were doing like, again, this was back in early Chef days, right? You know, and if I was doing like trying to do like, you know, kitchen vagrant, but like with Windows. You know, so like every time you vagrant up, it had to like provision a Windows VM. So like that was a few minutes just to run a kitchen test.
Yep. Yeah.
You know. So all right. Well, I think we proved our point.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna work. It's gonna
be fantastic. Believe us, it's amazing.
When this completes, so if we run out of time, when this finishes, you'll get a nice little URL that'll pop out at the end. You browse to that URL, you get your grocery list, and everything works. It's pretty cool. And then if you push a commit to the GitHub repo, it'll all be rebuilt and flow out automatically. It's quite a nice workflow, actually.
Awesome. Yep. And then of course, what I'm going to do as soon as this is done is actually I'm going to run a Pulumi destroy, which will get rid of the cloud resources because again, we don't sit here and be like, why is this app service running in the background and nobody knows about it?
Yeah.
And, you know, they're like, hey, wait a minute, what's this DO bill going on here, man? You know, I'll be like, it's Christian's fault. It's totally cool.
It's fine.
It's exactly how we do it. So, well, Christian, this is awesome. This was fun. Thank you for coming and streaming and everything.
Yeah,
and,
thanks.
Everybody who joined us, and make sure that if you know, whatever platform it is that you're watching us on, you know, mash the subscribe or follow or like or whatever, so that you can get notified about our upcoming streams. And we do these every week. So thanks very much, and